Welcome to the Smack Happy Design Videocast, where we explore all things web and marketing. With your hosts, Nicole and Danielle.
Hi, welcome to episode number 24. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Danielle.
And I just want to remind our audience that we'll be taking some notes for you, so you can just sit back, relax, and listen. And you can download those notes at smackhappy.com/videos. Today our guest is Laney Silverman of the Design Boutique, specializing in brand identity and graphic design. Welcome, Laney.
Hi, Nicole. Hi, Danielle. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So tell our guests a little more about yourself.
Oh, thanks for asking. So my name is Laney Silverman, and I'm the Chief Creative Officer for the Design Boutique. I'm originally born in San Francisco, and I've been I've had the Design Boutique for 15 years.
Awesome.
Awesome.
That's really I love that you've been doing your own thing for 15 years. That's inspiring. That inspires me.
Oh, thanks.
What else is cool is, I just learned when I went to San Francisco in December that it's rare that you find a person who was born and raised in San Francisco, because a lot of people are transplants, which is fine. But I guess kudos to you for being a
local yokel
lifer. That's awesome.
Where else am I going to move? I mean, everybody comes here from somewhere, and then I know people start to complain about real estate or whatever when they move home, but it's I can't, there's nowhere else for me to go from here. So it's good and bad, right? Because I can't bolt. Yeah.
True.
Well, it's good you never had a reason to, though. I mean, you got a great business and
yeah, it's cool.
Anyway.
So tell us about why branding is so important. I know that's the main focus of your business. So what should our audience be keeping in mind?
So I am passionate about branding for many reasons, and it's why I was put here on earth to help businesses. And I get so much energy and I feel so much passion about helping businesses. So basically, when a company first starts, they have their values, they have their way of being, they have what they want to do in the world. And so sometimes the exterior look and feel of the company doesn't match the passion inside of the founders or the owners or the mission. And so what I do is I work with the company to have all their outward facing marketing materials match all the good that they do, so they can reach more people and help more people. So they look good on the outside, they communicate correctly, and that's why it's important to really dial in your branding, because everybody has a brand. It's still a brand even if you don't create it. It's just a bad brand. So you might as well work with someone like me to develop some positioning that helps you be successful. So I want everybody that starts their business to be successful and follow their dreams. And that's why branding is important, because it kind of sets the road to communicate with your clients. It shows values and what you're committed to.
And that's an excellent point you made about even if you're not creating a brand, it just kind of gets created on your behalf.
Yeah.
Because your brand is your reputation.
Yeah.
And you would be much better off just being in control of it rather than letting it create itself.
Yeah. And it's funny because sometimes I'll meet with clients that don't know a lot about branding, and they say, oh, I don't want to do a brand because I don't want to look expensive. I don't want to look like I'm, too high end for people. And so the power of brand really doesn't mean that you're going to look like luxurious dripping in gold. It just means you're strategically placing yourself in a certain slot or position so you can communicate with your customers. So branding doesn't mean you're fancy schmancy. It just means you're putting on the right shoes to show up at the meeting. We always use that. I like to use the metaphor, would you show up to an important, meeting in cut off jean shorts and a tube top? Well, things are pretty different now with how things are run, but you get the point. You want to show up to your meeting in the right outfit, or you want right shoes, so you can make the right impression.
Mhm.
So this is literally making me think of an SNL skit where Will Ferrell was in an American flag underwear, and he went to a business meeting in that. That just I mean, think of like a
Yeah.
Will Ferrell,
He's so
walking
funny.
in with this little underwear. But yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's just maybe the brand is meant to not be looking luxurious. It's whatever your values and like what you want to say is however you come up with it to say it. Like you said, doesn't always have to be
high end or whatever.
Yeah. So that's a good point.
And I met with a client yesterday who's in a competitive space, and when you're in a competitive space too, you need to differentiate yourself, so if you're an attorney or in healthcare, everybody's stuff looks the same. So how does the client pick, because people are making assumptions about you before they even meet you, right? But by the way that your voicemail sounds, but your email signature, to the way that your website looks, all of that makes an impression on someone. So that has an impact on how well you can sell to them, how well, what your price point is, things of that nature. So especially in a competitive field, you need to look, sound, and feel different than others if you want to be successful, because everybody has a unique selling proposition, personality. But a lot of clients, when we work on taglines or names of companies, a lot of like law firms, for example, say the same stuff. We pay attention to our clients. We have a strategic process. We really care about what you do. We pay attention. So all that stuff doesn't mean anything, right? It's just kind of like verbal garbage, because it's not like a unique position. So we dig deep to find out really what makes you different, because when you say, we really care about our clients and we provide high quality work, it's like, that is like boring.
Do you think it's also important to let your personality come through in your branding and like your culture?
So this is a conversation I have a lot with clients. So when they first start their businesses, they want to be really safe because they're scared, right? Like as an entrepreneur, especially sometimes when you're first starting a company, you just want to just see if it works, like stick your toes in the water and see if like it's okay, if like you could go swimming. So you make all your stuff look like everybody else's, because if it looks like that guy's over there, it's going to work. So that can maybe work for a while, but that becomes very dangerous, because then you start to kind of lower yourself on the pyramid. And it's only when you start to show your personality, you show your unique selling proposition, you take risks in how you look, feel, and sound. That's only when you can hit the massive success, right? Because if you're not like everybody else, then you can stick out. And so a lot of times clients who are a little nervous or don't have faith or don't understand branding don't want to show their personality. And it's not actually the client's personality. We create a personality through our intake process, through the creative brief, the questionnaires. The company has a personality, so it's separate from the CEO or the person that runs the company. And that's another error, right? A lot of clients, the CEO, they pick what they like for themselves, as opposed to like understanding what the demographic is, who we're speaking to, and how the branding communicates to their people. So the personality is of the business and not of the person. And that's a lot of times what happens. So personality on many levels. Long answer, long. Yeah.
But I think also just really important to think about, as you, make decisions about your brand and how you want to stand out.
Making decisions as opposed to just like a plastic black bag floating in the wind, right? Like make a decision, like in business, set intentions. Who do you want to be? Where do you want to go? And what kind of success do you want to have? You know how that is. You can't just like, maybe you'll get lucky, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I always feel with our clients, it's important for their personality to come through on the website, and like the brand personality and the culture.
Yep.
Because it definitely help set you apart. Like if you're making it generic safe, then it looks just like anybody else's website, or like a template that you could go get out there.
Yeah. And who wants that? I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about your process. What is it like when someone starts to work with you about their branding?
Yeah.
And what all it entails?
Okay, thanks for asking. So there's, as the design boutique, we have, a couple main packages that we like to work with clients on. So we do naming of businesses, we do tagline creation, we do backstory, vision statement, and logo design, and then websites. But the first couple are our main packages. So the logo design process is a 5-step proprietary process that's pretty unique, that not a lot of people go through, that really helps us virtually guarantee success with our clients. So typically what happens is a client doesn't go as deep as we do in the research phase. So the first step, what we do is we have a custom creative brief that I've designed, and that's just a fancy word for questionnaire. So all the decision makers on the team fill this out. It has questions like, what have you done in the past? What are your goals for the company? What's our competition doing? We do a lot of research in the industry. Then we have a meeting to discuss what we want to do, and we do a lot of research. That's the first stage. So we don't even go on the computer until we've done all this research. The second stage is a sketch phase where we just really outline different concepts, ideas. So we stay off the computer and we figure out what the story is about the company, because marketing and branding is storytelling, right? So like when someone shows you a bulleted list of stuff, you don't remember it, but when someone tells you a story, you remember it. The reason our logos are so great is because of the storytelling, because it engages the customer. It has a emotional response. So that's the second stage, is the sketch phase concept. Then the third stage, we go onto the computer, start digitizing. The fourth step, we start finalizing. And then the fifth step, we deliver. And then we create all the company's collateral. So it's very important when a client comes to us and they say, we just want a logo. I say, no, you don't. You need to leverage it on different media, including website, collateral. And so we create this whole brand package for them when we're done. So it's a 5-step process, and it really takes the client through the whole thing. So a client will never get to the end of the process and say, I don't like it, because they've been engaged the whole time. So it really works to get them involved and educated on what's happening. So it's pretty fun. And it's quick, right? So it's like a month to do the whole thing. And like 2 or 3 rounds of work, because, I'm an expert. This is like my reason of being. So I know how to do this, and I guide the client through it, and it's quick and it's easy, and we're done. And then the whole thing's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very different from creating websites. Mm-hmm. I feel like most of the time you could get it done in 2 to 3 months, but the content is always the holdup.
What kind of content do you mean?
Sorry?
What kind of content? Like written, visual? What do you mean?
Usually the written content. Getting our clients to, give us something to work with, or helping them create it. It's always like, even like if I have to write a bio about myself, right? I don't want to do it, right? It's like the last thing I want to do is write about myself. So I can kind of relate to it, but
it's one of those things that, like, just graphic design in general, and writing are like one of those like things that people think they can fake, like, oh yeah, I can write it. Or like in my next life, I want to like sell insurance or be a dentist, right? Because like nobody can fake that, right? But people think they can fake design and stuff. But the reality is you can't. They can't fake it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I was thinking of an example of like something that we're doing now, and it's not, a huge deal. Like, you just have to work through it, but it has to do with, the copy on the website.
Yeah.
And, it's going to be a new website. It's a new design, and something that the company didn't want was like a lot of written things, or they didn't want a lot of stuff on the homepage, which is fine. But like nowhere on the site now, you wouldn't be able to see, for example, like who they are. it's just very like services forward, which I feel like how you were saying, people remember a story and not necessarily a bulleted list. So it's right now it's sort of like a bulleted list of services, right? So it's like trying to explain sometimes, you know, the value of like trying to create a story at least. I mean, even if it's something small that just really gives an overview of who you are and where you come from with what you do.
Right.
You know, it's making a connection, and it's sometimes that's really difficult, but I mean, it's and like Nicole said, it depends really. I mean, it could be ideally like we just had another client that had like their shit together and they were like, here's all my stuff. I organized it. Here's what I want to do with it. Here's who's doing it on my end, and like had everything like tied up in a nice little package. And then other times it's different, but it's definitely the most, I think in our business anyway, it's been the most challenging. I don't want to say difficult, but challenging thing to do, especially with timelines. You know, because everyone's like, I want my website like yesterday, you know. Like,
then they don't do the stuff.
It takes a little bit of time, you know. But it made me think of that too.
So I took the bus to work this morning, and American Express has a whole series of ads, and I'm always telling my clients, you know, the product is, you know, that statement, sell the sizzle, not the steak. The product is not about the product. People don't buy the product for what it does. They buy it for what happens in the end, right? So this American Express ad, there's nowhere in this American Express advertising campaign do they talk about credit cards. Not one single billboard. Each one is like a woman playing outside with her kid, or, you know, in the kitchen baking, or a business at a whiteboard. It's all about the experience associated with the credit card that provides that emotional pop. And people don't get that. They think when they're selling law or they're selling a product, it's about the services. It's never about the services. It's about what the services give. And when you're engaging clients, they don't know that. They just want to be safe, and they go, we provide high quality, blah, 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 boring. You know, that's a really hard thing to sell to a client, is that we don't want to write a bulleted list about the law that you provide. We want to talk about the outcome.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like the classic feature benefits analysis.
Yeah.
You want to tell people about the benefits rather than the features, because the features are exciting to you because, you know, it's your thing and you're like all geeked out on it, but the client, they want to know what they're going to get out of it, right?
They just want the good part. They don't really care about the process. They just want to win, make the money, or get the thing done. Yeah.
So how would you go about building a brand from nothing? Let's say you had like someone who just decided to start their own business, and all they have are their skills and they don't have anything. Like where would you begin with them?
Well, I guess it would just go back to the, you know, 5-step logo design process, where we'd have the creative brief as the first kind of set. And that helps establish, it has questions that establish the values, the products, what they stand for, and the personality. So we would start with that creative brief. And once we get that, then we can pull everything out.
So if they had a hard time answering the questions, would you help them kind of explore how to do that?
Yeah. So when we do the intake on the questionnaire, then we have a meeting to discuss it. So if they leave it blank, then we go over it in detail. Then when I change the way that the question's worded, or, you know, modify it in a way. But it's important, if the client doesn't know the answer, then the project's not going to be successful, right? Because you need to define who you are. So if you go through the process and the client can't define who they are, they're not going to like what happens in the end, because it doesn't reflect who they are and they haven't made a decision. So part of the work is making decisions about who you are and what you stand for. And if you don't do that up front, then I won't be successful in the end, because they won't like it. So like a dangerous thing that like maybe 25% of clients say is like, I'll know it when I see it. Like that's, you know, that's just something they've programmed into their head, but it needs to be substantiated by research and data, and then they'll know. Because that's dangerous. Just you're like you're just basically like throwing darts at the thing. I'll know it when I see it. That's like goes on forever.
Yeah. So do you ask your clients to give you some like examples of logos they like? Do you take them through?
It's funny because the questionnaire has like, what do you like out there? And I need to modify it because all the clients say the same thing. Okay, so guess what the 3 logos are or brands that everybody loves the most, you guys?
Is Apple one of them?
That's one.
I think we've had quite a few people say for their website design, something like Apple's website.
Yeah, I've had that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh gosh, I don't know.
And it might be harder for you, Danielle, because you're not in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, Google? I don't know.
The other people say, do you have another guess, Nicole, before I tell it?
I'm not sure.
Tesla. So people like to say Tesla, right?
Yeah, that's a good
Apple, one. Tesla, and then what's the other one that people like? Range Rover. A lot of car stuff, but yeah, everybody says the same stuff. So I need to change that and say you're not allowed to say that because they have so much brand equity and so much they've taken so many risks and they have so much stuff out there. So
yeah,
it's funny.
Yeah, like you need a little caveat that it can't be a huge company or something. It's got to be a medium to small size company that is or something.
Exactly.
Because it's really, you know, the businesses that we work with. I imagine the businesses you work with too are like really small businesses, medium size maybe.
Yeah.
And so they're not competing on the same level. Right? Like with American Express, they don't have to talk about credit cards because the moment you see their logo, you also know that that's what they are, right? So it's also like they're building on something that's been out there for, I don't even know how many years.
Brand equity. They have a lot of brand equity. Yeah. I mean,
so they have that opportunity to make those risky moves that they want to change their brand and stuff. So that's like another thing I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if it's not quite how you would actually go about doing something, like what would you ever review? Like that'd be kind of cool if you could review, maybe not right now, but review what you think of like those like bigger brands, because there has to be some out there where they do get away with things because they have brand equity. I can't think of any right now, but that'd be kind of cool too.
Yeah,
what is it? Abercrombie and Fitch. They like show naked people, right? Pretty much like black and white naked people.
Yeah, like children.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, so
they're really young.
Children. They're not like real children.
They're just like really young. They're young teenagers.
Model, yeah. So those are risks, you know. I mean, certain perfumes they don't show anything. So, but that like gets people interested in it. So I wanted to say that you don't have to be an American Express to take risks in your branding and marketing, because it can also be just as risky to be boring as F, you know, and not say anything at all. Yeah. So there's risks associated with being like vanilla mayonnaise all the time.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Yeah. Like for a small business, if you were doing an ad campaign, would you take a risk like that and do something where you're not necessarily talking about what they do?
Right. If you're creating an ad campaign, or just say all your materials, right? There's like a personality associated with all your materials. If you're trying to speak to all people, and you guys know this, right? If you're trying to speak to, millennials, and then, older people, educated people, not educated people. If you're trying to talk to everybody, you're not talking to anybody, and your messaging is like flat and boring. And so where you need to take risks is that you need to be able to alienate certain demographics, and that's a filter, which is okay because you can't talk to everybody. So I would say, tell me the question again, because now I'm all like passionate. It's like, bring it back for me. Tell me the question one more time.
So if you are a small business that doesn't have all that cachet, could you still take a risk like that?
So the risk would be that you have to have a certain set of language and positioning and not speak to everyone. Whereas like companies think it's risky to pick a niche, let's say, and you have to take a risk and alienate people. And that's okay, because then you can find your people. Once you find your people, then they'll keep coming. You can't have everybody as your client. So you have to take risks in terms of alienating people or offending people. And I always say, I rather have a client or someone say, I don't like your stuff, than be like, yeah, that's fine. You know, that's okay. Cause then you're not like positioning yourself if everybody is like, yeah. Mm-hmm. So the risk is pissing people off.
Mm-hmm.
What do they call that now? Disrupting?
Yeah, disruptive something. Yeah. There's words for everything, right? Yes. Acronyms for everything.
Cachet makes me think of a brand though too, because I used to buy like my undergarments from a place called Cachet, and I'm really upset that they don't exist anymore, probably because it's a secret, but I don't know. It just reminded me. I was like, someone hasn't used that word in a very long time, and I was like, ooh, Cachet underwear.
Yeah.
There you go. Memorable brand.
Picking the right word.
Mm-hmm. So what else? What do you love about what you do?
What do I love about what I do? I feel like branding is creating a visual language that's unique to you and that other people can connect with you. And so one of my favorite things is that when clients come to me and they're like, oh, I'm so embarrassed about my website. I'm so embarrassed about my logo. I hate handing out my cards. I never want anybody to go to my site. It just sucks. And once we work with them to develop all of their stuff, it's like their back gets straight. They feel a sense of confidence, and then they have all this energy to go out and sell. So I feel like on a certain level, I'm transforming people to have the energy and the robust energy to go out and follow their dreams.
Yeah, and confidence.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've had a couple of recent website launches where like the guys who owned it, they were just like, they came out of that looking like superheroes and feeling like superheroes because they were just like so happy with like the end result. So I can totally relate to that. It's pretty awesome when
like a makeover.
Yeah,
it
like
is
an extreme makeover
mm-hmm.
with like plastic surgery.
Yes. But that's okay. What we were talking about before this was on the tape. It's a beautiful tape. It's not tape.
Yeah.
A makeover. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the right words.
Yeah.
I have nothing, guys. I don't know.
Yeah, you're good. You're
good. Are there any, so kind of back to the big brands, or maybe not big brands, but are there any that you absolutely love that you think are doing a fantastic job with their branding?
Big brands, let me see. Well, sometimes, okay, so my office is at a WeWork. I'm at 650 California Street. I mean, WeWork, when we're talking about branding, we're not just talking about logo design. We're talking about look, feel, sound, all of it. And so being in WeWork, I mean, WeWork is like blowed up, right? And their tagline is do what you love. Okay, that has nothing to do with like office space, right? And I'm pretty impressed by what they do because every building has its own kind of funky interior design. It's not my style. I'm more like classic, old school, preppy, but like all their buildings have this like modern, contemporary lighting and feel and coffee. And I think they've just done a wonderful job, and they're blowing up all over the place. I mean, just I'm at 650 California. Next door, 600 California, they have another one. I mean, it's like Starbucks. It's like they're right across the street. But I think I'm impressed with their branding because of the positioning and how they've just exploded, and they're everywhere. They're in Israel, So I think their core is pretty awesome, even though their stuff's pretty like simple and black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely visited a couple of WeWork offices, and I have to say, I was definitely impressed with like the lobby space and like some of the decor and stuff. They actually put a lot of thought into it, which is nice.
Yeah, so my lobby space, I hold a monthly event called the Golden Hour on the third Wednesday of every month, and I host it in the lobby, and it's like a hipster living room, with like a watermelon pillow, like kombucha on tap, beer on tap. It's like too cool for me. If it was my living room, I'd have like a picture of dogs playing poker. This is like really cool, and people love it, and it's a great space. There's a screen that comes down, microphone. It's just really conducive to bringing people together, and so it's pretty hip.
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked the HubSpot space when I had visited there in Boston.
Yeah.
It was a similar hipsterish feel.
Yeah.
But I walked by and I'm like, I think it's really appealing to, the younger crowd, I guess.
Yeah.
Here. So like millennials and younger.
Yeah.
But I walked by and I'm like, that guy has a beer and he's coding something right now.
Right.
Where can I work?
IKEA.
But now I can just do that at my desk and no one would ever know.
Whoa,
I could be drinking a beer right now. No.
I need like rosé or Chardonnay on tap, but then I wouldn't really. The funny thing is, like, I get up really early and I like to work, so I'm usually at my desk at like maybe 6:30 in the morning because I like to. So like I get here and there's like nobody here. But everybody likes to come into work at like 10. I'm like, how do you do that? I'm like already like, so that's kind of a change. Going to work early is like an old school thing, I think, Well,
it might just be a San Francisco startup-y kind of thing.
Oh, you think so?
Definitely. Maybe it's at least coming from there, because I feel like, people that I might talk to back home in Ohio would still be like, yes, I have to be at work at 8:30.
Yeah, there's no way you're late to work, like in Ohio or here.
Really?
There's a lot. I mean, it's not as laid back as some of the places are, where I live anyway in Pittsburgh. It's still very like old schooly, like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or like you have to work overtime and you don't get paid for it. Like,
okay. Right.
So, I mean, it's, what are we, I mean, it's still very like industrial, like manufacturing and things like that around here too. So, but yeah, I can say that I don't do that. I like to shit around in the morning and just do whatever else, and then I get to work. Right. But then I like working at night. So like Nicole will get messages probably like my time, like 1 a.m. Like, what are you doing? Go to bed.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's just, whenever you feel like you're in your jam.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
It works.
Mm-hmm. So I want to flip the question around. Is there any brand out there that annoys you where you're like, oh, they're just doing this wrong and they're doing themselves a disservice?
Well, so these are good questions, Nicole. So I'm writing a book right now and it's called Your Initials in a Circle is Not a Logo. So anytime I see a company or a business with their initials in a circle, it makes me sad because they're not really saying anything about their business. Mm-hmm. And they're not standing out, and it's just kind of sad.
Yeah, that goes back to the faking it.
Yeah.
They're just faking it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that make it isn't really a thing anymore.
Yeah, well, Sheryl Sandberg wrote in Lean In, she wrote, fake it till it's true.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Oh, there's another one that I'm thinking of that's like a new one that I really like that's been popular is it's not practice makes perfect now, but it's practice makes progress.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, like you said, it's about what comes after everything. And
yeah,
I think that ties into those quotes pretty well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of what about, I wanted to ask, so we talked a little bit about advertising and like branding, kind of like, I wanted to ask about something that annoys me. And it's, so I remember some years ago, I had gone to like really nerdy propaganda competitions, and a lot of it was fueled by like advertising and what they do on like television shows to like hook you and things like that. And one of the things that people do a lot is like repetition. And I feel like it's so awesome when someone's repeating something and you don't even know it's happening.
Right.
Where like, you're like, yeah, I'm going to get on this bandwagon. Like, I like this. I'm going to go get it because I've heard it like, you know, however many times, didn't even realize it. But then there's like the commercial that comes on like on Hulu before I, you know, pay to not get the commercials.
Right.
Literally like the same song over and over and over and over. And it
right.
makes you want to implode.
Yeah.
So, things like that. Like, what do you think about that sort of stuff? Do you agree? Like that repetition, it comes in, I don't know, like with branding, like,
yeah,
you know, you can't put your logo everywhere. You know, there are certain places that it makes more sense and stuff like that. So I guess that's more my question. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, I think it takes like 2 or 3 times for people to remember stuff, right? And so it's like law of attraction too, you know, you see it one place, then you start seeing it in more places. So I think anytime you can be in front of someone more than once or twice, they'll start to remember you and start to think about you. I mean, that's why you guys do like this, right?
Yeah.
It's forward facing, you create this. That's why you send out a newsletter. It's just to kind of remind people and be in their consciousness. So when something comes up, they're ready to say, oh yeah, Smack Happy Design, they're the best website company around. You know, that's why you want to stay in front of people. You never know when their brain's going to be like, oh yeah, this person means web design, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I have one last fun question for you. What inspires you the most?
What inspires me the most? I think that one of the reasons I love to work with small businesses or medium-sized businesses is because a lot of times what happens is people were like in a job full-time, or they were doing something that wasn't fulfilling for them. And so when they decide to do a startup or they decide to create their own company, they're taking a huge leap from maybe mediocrity to finding their own path and vision. And when I see someone realizing their own dreams and then taking deliberate steps to achieve their dreams, that makes me happy, because I believe that life and the way that you lead your life can be a choice. And when people make choices as opposed to just letting the bag fly in the wind, that makes me happy. That means they're taking chances, and people inspire me when they're living the life that they love.
Mm. I like that answer.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Can you please let our audience know how to find you?
Oh, okay. Well, most of the time on the weekends, I'm playing golf in Marin. So you can find me at Peacock Gap or Harding in San Francisco. And then other times I'm running along Christie Field. But the easiest way to find me would be to go to my website, thedesignboutique.com. I'll spell it because it's funky. TheDesignboutique.com. So you can go to my website or email me, Laney, Laney, at thedesignboutique.com, and I'd be happy to talk to you.
Awesome. Thanks again for joining us, and thank you to our audience for joining the Smack Happy Videocast. We aim to help elevate your business through real-life experience and advice.
Until next time.
See ya. Thanks, Danielle. Thanks, Nicole.
Yeah, thank you.
Listening to to the Smack Happy Design Videocast. For more information and downloads, visit smackhappy.com/videocast, where you'll find more episodes and the opportunity to subscribe on YouTube or iTunes. You can also sign up for our newsletter delivered to your inbox monthly. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and colleagues. Again, that's smackhappy.com/videocast. See you next time.